What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about the death of independent dealerships. Now, the automotive market is in complete, utter chaos right now. We have book values dropping, we have interest rates shooting up, we have consumer demand dropping, but dealers refuse to lower prices because they're into these cars too deeply. All these things spell doom and gloom when it comes to being an independent car dealer. But we're going to give you a huge breakdown, and I think a lot of numbers are going to shock you guys. Now, before I get into the content, if you do me a huge favor and gently squeeze the like button if you enjoy the videos, it means a lot. I take time out of my day to make videos just like this. Also, if you please consider subscribing, you can be helping us push to 400,000 subscribers because we just broke 300,000 subscribers 2 minutes ago. So I want to give a huge shout out to everybody watching. Thank you guys so much. Our whole goal with this channel is to be the biggest, dealership automotive channel in YouTube. And I think we're only about 40,000 away from that. So thank you guys so much. I feel truly blessed, and let's get into the video. So in a few of my other videos, we talked about how dealer groups are slowly buying up all the franchise stores and some of the larger independent dealers to build these big conglomerates that basically give them more buying power, more selling power, and they can push more deals through the banks. Well, now, if you want to finance anybody that's risky, which is most of the people out there, franchise stores have all the power because they have all the banks. And this is going to be the main reason why dealerships, especially independent dealerships, are going to be failing. Now, when you are a small independent dealer like myself, your goal is to rely on the local economy and the local people to help push your sales. Now, we make most of our money through the actual down payments because unlike franchise stores, we get penalized a lot more. So if you were to go buy a car, let's say a $20,000 car from a franchise store dealer, they could sell that for maybe $25,000 with still $3,000 on the back end for warranties and everything else. Where somebody like myself that is an independent dealer can only sell that car for probably $18,000 because banks don't want to finance that much. And then on top of that, they are going to charge me a $2,000 to $3,000 bank fee to buy the deal. So depending on your credit, I actually have to give up some money to the bank for them to accept the deal. So if this is a $20,000 car, they only want to finance 18, but they want to charge me, let's say $3,000 just for fun. That means I'm getting a check for basically $15,000. I'm losing the rest of that money. So that gap right there is what independent dealers are losing to franchise stores. Franchise stores have the ability to do so much more than independent stores when it comes to financing. They have their pick of the litter when it comes to banks. They have special programs where they don't even need to do a lot of verifications of jobs. As an independent dealer, I have to show proof of income, which could be your bank statements, your pay stubs, your tax returns, and a lot of times they want all three to match them up to make sure you're doing that. Where independent dealers can just kind of shovel dog shit through the bank's mouth and they will eat it and accept the deal and not really check on those things. So if the franchise dealer says, oh, Mr. Smith makes $60,000 a year, he's been on his job for 2 years and blah, 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 most times franchise stores get funded within 24 hours. As long as they put whatever information the bank likes on the application, it gets approved, gets funded, and you never have to deal with it. Where somebody like myself, an independent dealer, I have to submit all this paperwork. The bank re-scrutinizes it, goes through your pay stubs, your bank account, your check account. Let's say I told the bank you make $15 an hour, but then they run your pay stubs and they're like, oh, this person makes $14.88 an hour. They don't make $15 an hour. I'm like, well, it's close enough. The bank will penalize me for that. They'll actually say, hey, you know what? Instead of a $3,000 buy fee, we're going to charge you maybe $3,300. Or they're going to add what's called recourse onto a deal. Now, this is the big difference between independent dealers and franchise stores. So pay attention to this. When I sell you a car as an independent dealer, a lot of times the banks want to leverage their risk and their loss. So they'll ask you for more money down. They'll charge a bigger fee to the dealership that I have to pay. And then they add on a thing called recourse. That means that I am married to this deal. So if they say, hey, this is a 3-payment recourse deal, that means that if you don't make your first 3 payments, I have to pay the bank back 100% and chase you for the car, praying that I could find it. Now, this is the problem. Every independent store, we only got 3 payment recourses if the customer was really, really bad. Traditionally, our normal deals were anywhere from no recourse to maybe 1 month recourse. But now, every time these banks take all these shitty deals from these franchise stores and they're losing so much money, they penalize and they punish independent dealers. So franchise stores refuse to do big buy fees. They refuse to do payment recourses. It's got to be like a really low fee or it's got to be zero recourse. They don't want to mess with it. But as independents, they basically force us to pay for all the franchise's mistakes because they can shovel complete awful deals to the bank and they want to double check and literally put my deal under a microscope and figure out different ways to charge me money. But now these recourses are getting out of control. I've seen some dealers send me deals with 6-7 month recourses. And these are not like small rinky-dink banks. We're talking Wells Fargo, Ally Financial, Westlake, banks that traditionally didn't do this kinds of things. And we're not talking like deep subprime customers. We're talking prime customers now. So if a customer has a 620 credit score and above or a 700, they're charging 1-2 month payment recourses and still charging fees on a 700 credit score, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, at the end of the day, dealers are as only good as their financial options. So if they don't have a lot of cash to do buy here, pay here, their only choice is to finance through banks. But as, like I said, this credit crunch has basically put a stranglehold on the automotive industry, it's making it tougher and tougher for independent dealers to survive because they have to eat up all these fees. Now, a lot of banks have been in the headlines lately about pulling out dealers. A lot of the franchise stores have been dropped by some of these banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Ally, but it's very, very rare. But they don't talk about the independent dealers. When a dealership like me loses Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Santander, Ally Finance, it is a major hit because that's one of the few small things that allows me to compete with franchise stores. I can give them the same comparable interest rates, the same deals, but what's happening now is they're getting so much shitty paper, they're basically saying, you know what, let's offset our risk. Let's go ahead and tell all these independent dealers to go kick rocks. Thanks for sending us all these deals, but we have to leave more money left over for our franchise guys because if we don't, they're gonna leave us. It is the craziest thing. You can be a 10-year, 20-year customer with the bank and they will drop you for a new franchise store that just opened up. Because in their mind, they're thinking, oh, this dealership's gonna give us so much money and so much business, screw the independent guy. It's all about the franchise guy. But they don't realize is that for every franchise store, there's 60 of us. And the combination of 60 of us produces more deals than a franchise store. It's the way it's always been. That's why if you look at credit acceptance, they're crushing everybody because even if they have bad paper, they get so many new loans in there that it outruns their risk and outruns their debt. That's why I tell people never bet against them when it comes to shorting their stock because for some reason they always collect and they always come out ahead. But after getting off the phone with numerous dealers from all across the country, they all had one thing in common. They all kept saying they can't get deals financed. Now, I asked them, did you pay too much for the car? They're like, no, some of these cars we bought back a book, first time in years. But even the dealers that are starting out now that are kind of realizing that not to overpay for cars are getting screwed because now we have to pay for the sins of the past where they have to pay these, like I said, massive buy fees, these massive recourse deals, and all this stuff is literally adding up to dealerships just not being able to make sales and eventually go out of business. And as these banks pull out of these independent dealerships, it's leaving very little room for competition, so they have nowhere else to go. No new banks are signing up. Everybody's in pause mode. Now, I know a lot of people in the comment section will be like, that's great, these dealers can die and everything is bad and screw the dealers. You got to remember, these dealers are just like you and me. They're regular people. I know some of these dealers are assholes, which I'll agree with you on that. But there are a select few that are very good people with families and stuff like that that serve their community. They offer great cars, good pricing, and some service work. But when these independent dealers go away, guess who's going to step up to the plate and eat up all that market share? It's going to be these greedy franchise stores with these auto groups. It's not going to be the small mom and pops one. It's going to be Auto Nation, Sonic Auto Group, one of these big guys that doesn't give a rat's ass about you, your family. They don't care that you bought in 7 Chevys in the last 20 years. They don't give a shit. All they care about is how much money are they going to rip off of you today. And so, like I said, competition is healthy when it comes to the auto industry. This is how you get better deals. This is why I tell people, as these banks and these dealerships start going out of business, it's going to hurt the industry. It's not going to go down. Some of the stuff may actually go up because dealers are going to feel like, well, these guys went out of business. I have the only one. I'm raising my prices. Or these guys went out of business because they didn't make enough money. I'm going to raise my prices. I'm going to ask the banks for more money. And all in all, is going to make it a lot tougher for the automotive market to correct. The fastest way for it to correct is for dealers to sell cars, be healthy, get good paper loans on banks' books, and also help move the car so this way prices come down. That's the only way we're going to get back to a stable market. But every time we have a bank fall, we have dealerships go out of business, and banks pull out of independent stores, it's hurting the market and it's slowing down the process. Now, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. The whole point of this channel is to be transparent about the automotive industry. So even if your opinion is different from mine, that's okay. We can still be friends. But I want to see what you're seeing in your market, because I've talked to people all over from Minnesota, New York, Texas, Louisiana, Charlotte. People are telling me that they're driving down their main drags and they're watching these small independent dealerships disappear little by little. And it's very saddening to see. Now, a lot of new dealers will be springing up because, like I said, during a recession, just like myself, I am going to be starting my dealership. Now, I'll give you guys a small update. Since it's our 300,000 subscriber video, I want to give you guys something a little bit extra. We just applied for a rental car license and we got approved. So I will be renting cars here in Las Vegas. I'll be doing classic cars and a lot of commercial vehicles. I may do some regular cars, we'll find out, but I'm still waiting on my dealer's license. Now, I believe that the market is going to be good for independent dealers if you're doing buy here, pay here. This is why I'm looking for either investors or hedge funds to go ahead and start giving us money to lend out to people that are needing cars, because as these banks start to basically contract and not lend as much money, there's still people out there that need to buy vehicles. And unfortunately, just like in the 2008 market, when the subprime market basically boomed, everybody was handing out money for 20% interest, and the market just went insane because you had people that were originally 600, 700 credit scores paying 20% interest on auto loans. I believe this is going to happen again because people have no choice. They can't afford these $1,000, $2,000 car payments, and they're going to start walking away from their cars. And where else are they going to go? They have to go to an independent dealer like myself that works with Troubled Credit that's going to do a buy here, pay here program at a $15,000 car at 20% interest. I know this sounds bad, and some of you guys may think it's predatory, but at the end of the day, if you pay 12% on a $60,000 car and you pay 20% on a $10,000 car, the interest you make on that $60,000 car will be 10 times the amount of what I would make on mine. So don't let the numbers fool you. 20% on a small loan is not that much, but I don't want to get people in debt for the long term. You want to give people the chance where they can buy something that's affordable, that's cheap, and help them step up to something in the next year or two. You don't want to bury somebody in a $40,000 car. And that's what these franchise stores are doing, because they only give you the option of buying a brand new car at a high interest rate, where I'd rather sell you an older car at a cheaper dollar amount with a modest interest rate, or I hate to say it, if your credit's really bad, a higher interest rate, but it's not going to break the bank. You're going to have a $300 payment. You're not going to have one of these $1,200 or $1,500 or $1,800 payments. So I know people think that when they hear 20% interest and they hear buy here, pay here dealers, they think they're all awful and they're going to steal all the money. But at the end of the day, it's a vital part of society. We need these things to help people get back on their feet. And unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you earn your credit score. If you pay your damn bills, you have a great credit score. If you don't pay your bills, you have a shitty credit score. Unfortunately, like I said, you earn your credit score. So don't be upset at other people if they're charging more interest, because you have to offset that risk. Just like with banks. Banks, remember, are faceless entities that rape people all across the world. For some reason, they get away with it. But if a small local independent dealer charges you 15%, all of a sudden, he's a monster, he's a bad guy, he's trying to pay for his kids' little league or whatever else. So I know, like I said, I know a lot of people don't like dealerships, but I tell you, they are a vital part of the actual economy of your small town or big city. So this is why I believe that it's very important that we need to start looking at different banks. People need to step up, and the market's going to get much scarier than what it is now. So just kind of brace for it. Watch these dealers and see what they're doing. And if you see a lot of dealers going out of business in your town or city, please, once again, put in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Follow us on Instagram at Lucky Lopez. And once again, thank you guys so much for helping us hit 300,000 subscribers. We're looking forward to hitting 400K.